your time that you put in to come to Grinnell. We have some giving information across our channels that we're going to share with you tonight, as well as our plan for the remainder of the calendar year. So please remember that if you have questions as you're going through, please identify yourself as well as your class year, as we will be taking notes through this presentation to be able to share with all of you once we have held both of our calls. All right, so our agenda this evening, we've gone over roll call. We're going to, as I said, go over an overview of the giving reports, the segments and the methods, the phone-a-thon, a reunion update. May is going to give a campaign update. We have the end of our calendar year. We're going to have an update from Tina Popson concerning our Parents and Families program. Bailey Wallace will be discussing the student philanthropy, and then we'll have some CFD announcements at the end. So May, if you would talk about the giving to date, please.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Great. So as you can see, Grinnell is just having another banner year in terms of new gifts and commitments. So those are documented planned gifts and pledges to the college from year to date, and that's as of October 31st. So already movement in this next month that we'll report out soon, but another fantastic year for the college, and year over year just seeing a lot of growth, and happy to talk about questions or anything that folks want to know a little bit more related to this slide.
May, this is Linda Neal. Can you hear me?
I can.
Good. How do I determine what my pledge to the comprehensive campaign is in terms of what I might previously have committed to in terms of a general estate gift?
Yeah, so this is a good lead-in question, Linda, and one that we received from many of you at Volunteer Weekend and are working on some materials to send out to you all. And I really appreciate you asking, because this is what your peers are thinking about as well as we launch this. And so any gift that you made or pledge that you documented or planned gift that you documented starting July 1 of 2013 to current has been counting in the campaign, regardless of designation. So whether you chose a Pioneer Fund, or you made a gift to scholarship, or you're making a gift to the new Humanities and Social Studies Center building, all of those gifts have been counting since that July 1, 2013 time period.
Great.
And so nothing new or different has to be done by anyone at this point. A lot of what we talk about on our team right now is kind of business as usual. We're still working towards increasing the number of your classmates and alumni giving to the college, as well as asking people to continue to give and increase their giving, if anything, during the course of the campaign.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So this next slide is one that just shows you a bit of a breakdown in terms of kind of 4 buckets. If we broke it down by fund, boy, this slide would look very colorful and almost hard to read with the lines. But essentially what you're seeing are the 4 main areas the college really looks at in terms of unrestricted giving, and that's to our Pioneer Fund year over year. Our restricted giving, and so that can look anything to financial aid, to you made a gift to athletics, or you made a gift to a program or department on campus. Capital has everything to do with our buildings, and so currently that is gifts to the Humanities and Social Studies Center, or if you've made a gift to potentially the new admission and financial aid building. So those kind of capital projects. Even so much as recently we've had a new tennis court dedication, and so those are capital projects. And then endowment giving are folks who are giving to funds that are hopefully going on forever and ever. In a lot of cases, those are scholarships that are starting. So for example, 1970, it is their 50th reunion, and they have already been able to endow a scholarship in the early months of their fundraising, and that money is counting in towards that kind of purpley blue column. It's early in the year. The rest of those numbers are as of an entire fiscal year, so you can see a bit more of breakdown. But for now, everything looks on track for how we might anticipate those specific buckets will break down at the end of the year. Questions on this slide that I can answer? So as you will note on this slide, this is our alumni donors only year to date, and so it's tracking year over year. And certainly we are aware that those numbers are down as compared to last year, though up comparatively to fiscal 18 and fiscal 17. One of the things that we have noted from September to October is that we have made up a little bit of ground by about 30 donors in terms of our tracking month over month. And so we are positive in the impact that we are making some ground and making some headway. The team has a number of things that we are operationalizing and even some information to share with you later on this call about plans into the December month to try to motivate some of our lapsed donors here. So we are really aware of the numbers. We absolutely are looking to all of you as leaders in your class to help us think of ways that we can motivate not only your consecutive and prior year donors, those donors who often give us year over year giving, but to also think about those donors who've stepped away from giving in the last year, 2 years, 3 years, or beyond, to think about messaging and engagement in ways that they can come back and make a gift that's meaningful to them. Are there questions on this slide?
Good evening, everyone. This is Jillian Bersama. Thank you so much, May, for that update. So just a reminder, I like to remind everyone what this slide represents, but at the beginning of every fiscal year, our alumni are given a segment, and this is based on prior year giving. So this is based on FY19 giving. So I just want to share a couple of things when we look at this information, what is standing out to us. Specifically, when we look at our consecutive donors and our prior year donors, our FY20 response rate for Kentucky Youth themselves are getting a lot of background. Anyways, so it's really great to see that our response rate for FY20 is higher than FY19. The one thing that we want to point out specifically for consecutive donors and prior year donors is that our pools for these two segments are smaller because we didn't have as many donors in FY19. So it's great to see the response rate, but when you compare FY20 donors to FY19 donors, you might be asking, why do we have fewer donors? And that's because we have fewer individuals in the two segments. For the last two donors, there's a lot of positivity happening with this group. Not only do we see seeing a higher response rate in FY20 compared to FY19, but we also have more donors in FY20 compared to FY19. And here in a little bit, when we talk about some of our end-of-calendar year strategies, we're going to be talking more about our last 2-year donors, as well as individuals who haven't given in 3 to 5 fiscal years. Before we move on, are there any other questions about the slide or about the segments? Great, so then we'll move on to our next slide. And this is just a representation of the channels that we track in ways we reached out to donors. And I want to emphasize that specifically for mail, as you recall, the campaign launch mailing, that ended up dropping in early October. And so we flopped our beginning of fiscal year appeal with your fall CFD appeals. And because fall CFD appeals, that takes us from 4 to 5 weeks to get all of your letters in the mail stream, where with our beginning of fiscal year appeal, we typically mail that late August, and it's usually in mailboxes by early September. So we recognize that there is a time lag with our appeals, and like May said, we've already made up ground with our donor numbers, and every day I'm watching my dashboard for appeals, and every day more and more gifts are coming in, and so we remain positive that when we come to the end of calendar year, our donor numbers are going to be strong. Now, some of you may be looking at the other category and wondering what that is, and let me tell you, it includes a lot of other appeals. So for example, we have a number of sustaining donors who set their sustaining gifts up in FY17 or FY18, and so their gift is being counted in the other category. We also have donors who are sending in their gift with a gift form from a prior fiscal year. We also have donors who are sending in a stock transfer that doesn't have an FY20 gift form, so we aren't sure how or why or what they are responding to. So I want to emphasize that just last week, the annual giving team, we had a meeting to talk about data, and I have had a conversation with the operations team that we really need to dig into this other category, because what we have been seeing is, and you can see it in the numbers from FY20 to FY18, this is a significantly growing segment. And I don't even like calling it a segment or a method, but it's a growing channel that we need to identify and learn more information about, because every year we continue to see more donors and dollars to this. So stay tuned. We're digging deeper because we need to identify what is exactly happening and what's triggering, or where are these donors and dollars coming from. Are there any questions or comments about this specific slide about our methods? Bailey Wallace is going to be talking about Phonathon next.
I have a question. What page are you talking about?
Yeah, good question. We are on slide 7 that is titled Alumni Solicitation Methods.
Okay.
All right, next up is Bailey.
All right, hi everyone, this is Bailey Wallace. So I'll talk to you a little bit about some of our Phonathon numbers. As you can see, we have some more dollars in the door, or on the phone, I guess, this fiscal year than last, so we're really excited about that. We are down a little bit, as you could see, in donors, so it just seems that less people are giving a little bit more. I know we talked a lot during Fall Volunteer Weekend about sort of the asking strategies that students are utilizing, and I can definitely say that I hear more often than not a student make that first ask and right away say, wow, great, thank you so much. So really, that ask is working for us. It's doing really, really well. And we're very excited about our conversion ratio. It is down from last year, but 57 is not something to be upset about. I will also say not on here is our credit card percentage rate right now, which is 53%, which is also something to be very, very excited about. So we're doing great in the Phonathon. Of our top 3 callers, 2 of them are newer callers. So we're really, really excited about how everyone's doing this year. We are once again battling a little bit of technology problems, not as many as last year, but we are working with our ITS team to get those fixed. So yeah, that's our phone-a-thon numbers for everyone. Does anyone have any questions about any of these numbers up here? All right, fantastic. We're moving on to reunion.
Hi, everybody. So this is Jessica, who works with the classes up to the 50th reunion, and then May works with that 50th class and is also working with the 55th reunion this year, the classes of 65 and 66. So this is a broad overview of all of the classes that we are celebrating in reunion this year and their fund priorities. As you can see, this is progress as of the end of October. So exciting news that several of our classes actually increased their goals because we had more gifts than we were anticipating come in early and had lots of recurring and future pledges that were also adding to that celebratory total. So for those younger classes that have the dashed line under the reunion gift goal, they did not set a dollar goal that they wanted to broadcast to their class, so they were focused mainly on participation and have been doing some great things with dollars as well. So a couple of highlights would be the classes that are have specific funds. So the class of 1970 has their scholarship and has been doing great work with that. They have over $250,000 already committed to that scholarship, and it should be able to actually award next fiscal year, which is really exciting. The class of 1989 scholarship has about $9,000 committed to it, and then the Reva Bansal 90 endowed scholarship has about $16,000 dedicated to it as well. So lots of movement there on those new scholarship funds. The class of 65, 66, and 91 are all scholarships that were created in previous reunions that they are just continuing to add to. And then the class of 1995, when they were here on campus, decided that they wanted to fundraise for a commons space in the new Humanities and Social Studies Center. So we're excited to really start kicking off that outreach about that space and really start fundraising for that as well. Any questions about this overview for the Reunion 2020 classes? Okay, so we will just remind you of those that will be in reunion in 2021. So we will have a 60th cluster with the classes of 1961 and 1962. The 50th reunion will be 1971. 45th cluster of 1975, 76, and 77. A 40th cluster of 1981 and 1982. A 25th reunion with 1996. A 20th cluster with 2000, 2001, and 2002. And then a 10th reunion with 2011. So if you are in any of those classes, you'll be hearing from me soon if you haven't already. We will have the 25th and 10th classes back in March for planning. I know the 50th has already had conversations with May and Jane, and they will be back in the spring as well. And then the other clusters will be back in late summer and early fall of 2020 for planning. Any questions about those classes?
All right, so May's going to talk a little bit about the campaign for Grinnell College.
So for those of you that were just on campus during volunteer weekend, we publicly launched the campaign for Grinnell College. And so we had an opportunity to hear from our Vice President, Jackie Feedy, and Director of Development, Adam Lau, and information about the campaign, how campaigns work. And then we decided to kind of pivot in our CFD sessions and do a 45-minute intensive question and answer. What was on your minds about it? We got a lot of really good questions. We heard you all very loudly and clearly that we needed to provide more content and information for you to digest this. So we're taking a little bit of time now to talk about it. Again, as I mentioned earlier in the call, it is our hope to get to you all a document that we believe just does a really good job of questions and answers. But in the meantime, as we talk about this either this evening or as you think about it in the days to come, please don't hesitate to stop and give us a call, send us an email, see us at one of the events that we have one coming up next week in New York. But ask us how we can help answer the questions that you have or that you're hearing from classmates. So the campaign is set at a $175 million goal. That's over that entire counting period, as I mentioned, that we started in fiscal year 14. And so you can see by the slide that's on the screen, or if you're looking on a PDF, that this started to elevate really as we get into 15 and 16, and then, whoa, out of the gates we came with really significant giving in fiscal year 17, 18, and 19. In particular, I'll note that the emphasis on pledges and reunion classes doing pledges, but also folks considering maybe an elevated and stretch gift where they were pledging over a 5-year period is starting to come into play. And so we hope that for those increases that we're seeing now, this slide really demonstrates the arc of this giving, that when we end the campaign in FY21, which will be June 30th of 2021, that this really will elevate our giving and increase our annual gifts to the college once the campaign is over. So as you'll note on the slide, at the end of October, we were just at $164 million. That is ahead of our targeted projections of where we need to be in order to meet this $175 million goal in that time period. And so we're actively tracking what that means. And in terms of, Mary, the next slide. Thank you. Talks a little bit more about the fund priorities, which are really important for all of you to note. They're not unlike what we've already been talking about year in and year out. The Pioneer Fund, which is our unrestricted fund, scholarships and financial aid, the Center for Careers, Life, and Service, Institute for Global Engagement. Of course, we're talking about the world-class facilities, the Humanities and Social Studies Center, our financial aid building, admission building. And then the other one is our individually advised teaching and learning. And that's a bigger piece that has more to do with how our campus operates in residence life and the experience students are having. Maybe that has everything to do with curriculum out of the dean's office and things that are happening there. So there's a lot of things that really fall under that bucket, hence the reason why it is at such a large amount. So the other thing that I want to point out on this slide is there's a small yet to be designated section, and that amount will be by donors looked at this fiscal year, and folks will continue to designate gifts that they've made at elevated levels. The other thing that I want to point out for this group is still the continued importance of the Pioneer Fund to the college, that unrestricted giving, how it turns on a really important lever and allows the college the most flexibility in terms of needs for a fiscal year and budgets that are happening. And so in the course of the campaign, it will be the single most largest fund gift that the college will receive. And still to date, we have the most donors supporting that fund and really trusting the college. So all that we can do to continue to elevate that on top of these other important funds and passions and directions of donors is really going to be important. So that's a high level look at the campaign to start with. You all did receive materials in the mail. We made sure that all of our volunteers got an early email with links to all of the documents and information on our campaign website. After the launch of the New York event next week, you will have access to a campaign video that was produced. And so really trying to put in your hands as much information as we possibly can in quick fashion and order. So I would love to leave more time to answer just questions or things that are on all of your minds so that we can help talk about it together while you're all here.
May, this is Linda Neal.
Yes.
Refresh my memory. The dollar figures assigned to each of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe 7 categories, is that a result of donor discount, or was this part of the campaign that says no, 30% of the total amount will go to scholarships and 35% will go to individually assisted or advised learning? In other words, what is driving these financial numbers?
So for Grinnell's campaign, we do not have dollar goals for each of those 6 categories. They are purely just gifts to date to those specific funds from donors, alumni, parents, friends, faculty, staff, students. So this group is, these are all just the amounts of money that have been either gifted outright cash, a planned gift documented, or realized for that matter, and pledges established during the course of campaign. That's what these are representing right here. So these are not associated with any type of a functional goal, as we don't actually have that at this time for this campaign.
Great, thanks.
You're welcome. So here are some of the events that are coming up. As I mentioned, the event next week in New York, and please encourage people to come next week if they haven't already RSVP'd. But then looking into the new calendar year, as New York will be our last event for this part of the calendar year, Naples in early January, Denver in February, San Francisco also in February, and then Seattle in April. You don't want to miss the event. They are just really, truly inspiring with the alumni stories that we're hearing, the information and stories that faculty are sharing about their role and work, leaders at our institution that are coming and available for discussion. It really is something that is worth your time and worth your evening out to come and hear and be engaged in this way. Encourage folks that haven't been connected with Grinnell for a while to come and experience the event. The feedback we're receiving thus far from those that are attending is really strong and really engaging, and that they feel like they're just fully understanding and connected with the college in a new and exciting way. So again, what questions, what are people thinking about related to campaign that we could answer for you this evening?
Rod Fink had a question online asking if they are in the evening, and yes, they are. There is a social from 6 to 6:30, and then programming from 6:30 to 7, and then an opportunity to interact with different people who are there doing the presentation following that.
Question, where is Chicago and Omaha, or are they considered such self-sustaining groups you don't have to really pump them up?
Well, Chicago just had their event last week, and Omaha at this point would, if there'll be consideration for an event, will not be this fiscal year. It would be into next fiscal year. We have already had launch event, campaign events here in Grinnell. There was one in Des Moines. There's been one in Chicago, one in Washington, D.C., and of course, as I mentioned, New York coming up. So Omaha, we'll have to see if into next fiscal year, as we work into other tiered cities, whether or not they will host an event there.
Great.
You can go online now, Linda, and others, and see photos, candidates of folks that were at the event, and some of the presentation pieces that are behind and there and available for those events.
This is Greg Vranikar of 72. A slide on page 13, the different priorities. Do you have specific materials for each of the priorities? We know the Pioneer Fund, and we generally know scholarships and financial aid, but do you have background information for each of the other 3, I guess it is?
Thanks for asking that, Greg. That is something we do have available. And so online, there is information on each one of those areas. Mary or Jillian, could we jump back one slide, please? Thank you so much. So the world-class facilities, we have booklets on the Humanities and Social Studies Center that we could share. We have information on, for sure, Institute for Global Engagement, the Center for Careers, Life, and Service, individually advised teaching and learning. All of those, we have what we're calling affectionately one-pagers to give you and or others who are looking at those areas of interest some high-level information But that is also that same information available right now today on our campaign website, which you can access through our alumni website. But if you go to campaign.grinnell.edu, you will go right to that, and you would be able to find the priorities to help give you a little bit more information about what those areas are looking for in relationship to the fundraising that we're doing for them. So for example, the Institute for Global Engagement is going to talk with you about their opportunities for course embedded travel and getting students access to global experiences on our campus, but also getting them out into the world. Scholarships and financial aid are going to talk more about how much aid are we awarding, how many students are on financial aid, and why the need is so important for us to continue to grow those areas of support. So
each of those, they each have something of a one-pager or a front and back page. Is that for the fund development, the CFDs, or could we even direct a donor who's interested in the Institute for Global Engagement? I had a donor who was interested in that, but I couldn't give him much, much more than you can just read on the website about it.
Yeah, the one-pagers, we certainly use them in our development team, but if we knew of somebody, or if you let us know, Greg, we'd absolutely be happy to send something out in that regard. But also the website content is almost identical to that sheet. The sheets may be designed just differently for a handout, but you could absolutely direct them to the website and to the information specifically on Institute for Global Engagement so that they could get more information there. There are also stories about alums, young alums, students, and faculty that are connected with the Institute for Global Engagement on the website, so someone could get more of a flavor and feel of what is this like in terms of a real practical experience and how did that play out for someone.
Okay, good.
Yeah, send them there. Yeah. Are there other questions about the campaign?
May, one quick question here is class participation in this campaign for Grinnell, the comprehensive campaign, something that is not really ready to be unveiled or revealed, or down the road would we say, okay, we're coming to the end of the campaign, here's how class of 82, 72, 67 participating in this campaign? Is that something you anticipate down the road?
I did not pay Linda to ask all these questions like this, but here, this is another, this is a really good one to talk about. We, of course, on our team are really focused on participation. We want everyone to come to the table, regardless of fund designation or the amount of the gift. We want everyone to be giving through a passion, a priority for them to support today's and future students and our faculty and our staff and the programs and this place that we all love. And so we think about that frequently on our team. The one thing that we have talked about in recent weeks actually is a really cool stat, and that is 50% of our alums have made a gift in the life of this campaign. 50%.
That's great.
That's amazing. That is great. I would love for 50% of our alumni to give each and every year and not just over the course of this. So we are absolutely considering how do we continue to engage alumni who are already giving and already performing and make them feel connected and special within this course of this campaign? And how are we motivating others who aren't giving consistently or at all to think about Grinnell in a new and different way, and that their gifts would matter and have impact at the college? So excellent. We haven't publicly pushed participation, not for lack of interest, but more so at this point, the dollars driving some of the programmatic pieces, but it is something we are talking about actively with all of you, and talking about actively when we are connecting with new donors or thinking about new approaches, so that we are communicating that it is still important that participation happens for the college. It's your way of saying yes. It's your way of communicating that you believe in your college, even on the tough days, because we know that happens too. So it's definitely still important in our minds and in the minds of the campaign, just not something that we've quite verbalized, I think, in a way that is as fancy or called out as some of the dollar and other information.
Well, good. Thank you, May. Toward the end of the
You're
campaign,
welcome.
it might be something that we want to say, hey, guys, we're not to say it would be a competitive thing, but maybe it might. Just say, we'd like to see a little more. If 68 is putting up 60% participation, we're going to say, hey, let's see if we can't do as well as or better.
Yeah, we think about that too in terms of competition, and we get feedback over time that's talked about, that's not necessarily a driver for Grinnellians. It's really about connections. It's really about peers and conversations in the programs and people. But it is absolutely something that we've talked about in relationship to, Scarlet Give Back Day. How many classes are online chatting it up to one another, on Facebook saying, oh, my class is going to knock it out of the park. And so we do know that there is some of that spirit out there, and we'll absolutely, Linda, take that feedback and think about ways we might incorporate that work for Grinnell.
Great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Great. Thank you, May, for covering the campaign and also for the wonderful questions that everyone asked regarding the campaign. We're going to move on to talk about our end of calendar year strategies. So coming up very quickly, we will have our end of calendar year mail pieces dropping. And so we have 3 separate pieces that are going to be dropping very, very soon into your classmates' mailboxes. The first piece is going to our Reunion 2020 classes. This is a specific piece that will talk about fund priorities as well as the goals that Jessica just shared with all of you. There is going to be another mail piece that will be going to our alumni who are in the classes of 1989 and earlier. And those individuals are going to be receiving a letter from Dan Reynolds, who is a professor of German. And he wrote a wonderful letter talking about how donors have supported a number of experiences for his classes and students, specifically a trip that he took recently to Europe as part of the Global Learning Program here at Grinnell. And then for our third group of individuals, that's going to be going to the individuals in 1990 and as of most recent. We are going to be spotlighting Dan on a postcard. So we have a number of different pieces coming up, and those will be shared with Mary to share with all of you, so you can reference these appeals as you're reaching out to your classmates. But we're really excited to partner with Dan. He has been a wonderful partner, and let me tell you, he has a really cool story and experiences globally, and how he just does a great job sharing his passion for teaching here at Grinnell. So be looking for that very soon. Coming up on Tuesday, December 3rd is Giving Tuesday. And so for those of you who are not familiar with Giving Tuesday, this is a global day of giving where nonprofits across the globe take advantage of the spirit of giving. It follows Thanksgiving, Black Friday, Small Business Saturday, it's Cyber Monday, and then we fall into Giving Tuesday. So it's the Tuesday following Thanksgiving. And in the coming weeks, Mary and Jessica will be sharing information with you about how to reach out to classmates on this day. We will have a mini campaign that will include an email that will be going to alumni, parents, faculty, staff, and students. And then we will also have a number of social media touches. New this year, the Inward Giving team, we have been talking so much about alumni donor participation and thinking about strategies and being creative in ways to really engage individuals who haven't been giving regularly to Grinnell. And so this year, we are going to try an end of calendar year donor challenge. This is going to be geared specifically to individuals who have not given in 2 to 5 fiscal years. So this is really a reactivation strategy we have data that shows us that the longer somebody is lapsed, the harder it is to get them back into the fold. And so we found this would be a good opportunity to do a really targeted campaign to a smaller group of alumni. So the theme for the challenge is we have 463 first-year students who are wrapping up their first semester here at Grinnell. And so we have secured an anonymous donor who is going to be giving $54 for every gift we receive between December 3rd and December 17th, up to $25,002. And where does that $2 at the end come from? Well, if you do the math, 463 gifts times $54 gets us $2 above $25,000. So we're really excited to try this new strategy. Again, Mary and Jessica will be sharing more information about this end of calendar year donor challenge in the weeks to come. But before we move on, are there any questions about our end of calendar year strategies that we have listed?
So fantastic. Thank you, Jillian. And so as Jillian was saying, we were talking about Giving Tuesday on December 3rd. One thing that you need to be cognizant about is the fact that Facebook sets up a ways to give to an organization through their Facebook account. And I know several of you have set up those accounts in the past, which is good in the fact that, yes, money is coming into Grinnell. The downside to that is that we do not get a list from Facebook of those donors or their dollar amounts. We just get a check for that amount. And so those donors who made a gift to that Facebook link are not getting counted as alumni donors and getting credit for that donation. So when you are setting up your Giving Tuesday information on Facebook, please use the URL that we provide so they can make a direct donation and get counted as alumni donors through the Grinnell website. As Jillian talked about, our December focus is on the Condons, who usually make a gift at the end of the calendar year. Your Pride-Ons, those are our two pools that depleted last year that we really need to focus on maintaining them as donors. And then with our largest pools of those lapsed 2 and lapsed 3 donors. And Jessica and I will be making templates and putting those in Gift Campus for you to utilize. And so we are going to encourage you. We really want you to utilize Gift Campus. We want to beat William and Mary with the number of emails this year, sending those emails through Gift Campus, picking up that phone and calling your classmates. I know many of you learned some great techniques through Bailey when you were here for Fall Volunteer Weekend, and making those personal phone calls to your donors. And then also, I know some of you like to use text messaging, so please, you can use text messaging as well through Gift Campus if you use your phone, or I know some of you already have your classmates' contacts in your phones to send those mass texting messages to your classmates.
Question?
Yes.
Where will the money be allocated that is received on Giving Tuesday?
Could you announce your name, please, so we can?
Linda Neal, 67.
Thank you.
Hi, Linda, this is Jillian again. So, are you specifically talking about the challenge, or are you talking about Giving Tuesday?
Yes, to both. Will Giving Tuesday money count toward the challenge, or does it just does Giving Tuesday go allocated to the Pioneer Fund or something?
Right. So all gifts made to the college on Giving Tuesday will count towards our Giving Tuesday campaign. So it could be to the Pioneer Fund or athletics. It's regardless of fund, any gift made to the College on Giving Tuesday will count. Now, specifically about yes, and specifically about the end of calendar year challenge, the anonymous donor is giving to the Davies Hens Student Emergency Fund. Similar to Scarlet Give Back Day, donors are going to be able to give to any fund they wish. So somebody can make a gift to the Pioneer Fund, and our anonymous donor is still going to give $54 to that Student Emergency Fund.
Okay, will dollars count toward the comprehensive campaign?
Yes, yes.
Yes.
So, like May emphasized, that it's still, business as usual. So, any gifts that we receive between now and the end of the campaign will count toward our comprehensive campaign, whether it's to Giving Tuesday or end of calendar year challenge, or even Scarlet Give Back Day that will be held later this fiscal year.
Great.
Greg Branicar of 72, the last bullet point says time frame Tuesday the 3rd of December to Tuesday the 17th. So is that 2-week period the end of calendar year donor challenge, or just Giving Tuesday?
Nope, the donor challenge is running for 2 full weeks. So we're going to kick it off on to Giving Tuesday. So we'll have special messaging targeted for those individuals who are in the last 2 and 5 segments. And then we will conclude the challenge on Tuesday, December 17th.
Okay, got it.
Good questions.
All right, we are going to pivot to Tina Popson, our Parent and Families Program Coordinator.
All right, hello everyone. I'm pleased to share with you about this initiative, which we launched this fall, but I know we're tight on time, so I will do it quickly. Grinnell now has a Parents and Families Leadership Council. The purpose is to engage with families, to cultivate support, and raise awareness of and secure resources for the philanthropic priorities of Grinnell. And because it sits in the Office of Development and Alumni Relations, philanthropy truly is the thrust of the leadership. And so if we look at the next slide, please. Thank you. So members can, they'll do 3 main things. They'll attend and participate in meetings. There will be one, which we just held our first one on campus during Family Weekend in September, and then there'll be a teleconference one in the spring. They'll also need to commit to 2 or more volunteer opportunities on an annual basis. Those can include things such as serving as a Grinnell Family Ambassador, being either a host or attending at special regional events or on-campus events, sharing their professional networks and expertise. If you have an internship available, we can partner with the CLS to kind of get the word out for students through that avenue. Volunteer opportunities also include sending out new parent welcome communications, both for early decision and regular decision admission cycles, and then doing Pioneer Fund outreach. So connecting with up to a dozen other Grinnell families annually to invite their support of the Pioneer Fund and help foster their engagement with Grinnell. And then the third main responsibility for members is to demonstrate that philanthropic leadership with a minimum annual gift of $2,500 to Grinnell. So right now we're off to a great start. We have 10 families who have agreed to serve on the inaugural council. They represent all 4 class years, as well as some parents of graduates are on the council. 2 of the households have experience serving on other colleges' parent councils, both at Swarthmore and WashU, so those experiences help inform their work with us. So we're very excited about everyone we have on board for this initial year, and we're very excited about the future as we continue to build not only the Parents and Families Leadership Council, but our overall Parents and Families program.
Are there questions for Tina? All right, Bailey's going to talk about the student programs tonight. As Mitch Wolf, who is the director of a lot of the student programs, is actually doing a community meal with our students this evening.
Hi everyone, this is Bailey. So I've got a couple just points to talk to you about that Mitch has sent me about these two groups and this current week that we're in, National Philanthropy Week. So the Student Alumni Council, as some of you may know, is a student volunteer group, and it has 28 members. Their mission is to foster connections between students and alumni and empower students to be a part of the wider Grinnell community. They participate in events such as the NSO Medallion Ceremony, Messages for Mid-Sems, and National Philanthropy Week, which I'll talk a little bit about as well. They have a very successful Facebook group called Humans of Grinnell College that has about 1,619 reads per post this year, so that's really, really exciting for their online presence. And they're also engaging in a campus-wide poster series with each month tackling a different theme of giving. Things like breaking sort of myths on the endowment, as well as talking about different alumni volunteer roles. The Class Ambassador Program basically serves as a class affinity building position. The Class Ambassador Program has 2 ambassadors per class, and they are in charge of different events as well. The first years focus on the first T in one of the 4 T's of philanthropy, which is time. The second years focus on talent. The third years focus on ties, and the fourth years focus on treasure. Some events that they have had thus far, they had a welcome back event with rolled ice cream from food trucks. And they've also had a couple student band performances that students could come to, and they average about 80 attendees per event. So that's really, really exciting as well. And then to National Philanthropy Week, which is going on right now, and why Mitch can't be here. That is an important time on campus here for students, faculty, and staff to take a moment and celebrate philanthropy on campus. Students are focusing this week on the 4 T's of philanthropy, which I mentioned. Monday, they tagged campus, and at the bottom of this slide, you can see a picture of the tags that they posted across campus. Tuesday, today, they're hosting a community meal. Tomorrow, they're hosting a talent gala with student art. And Thursday, they're hosting a community speaker and partnering with the senior class gift committee to talk about treasure and/or giving. So those are some different events going on this week, and that is Mitch's slide for his student programs. Now, I'm also going to stay on here and talk about the Senior Class Gift Committee, which I run this year. We have 12 members, 10 of which made it for our photo, our group photo. That is them in front of the HSSC. We also have about 445 seniors in Give Campus this year. So this is their first year that we are moving the Senior Class Gift Committee to Give Campus. Our goal with this is in hopes that they will transition into being class fund directors upon graduation and will already be in the system and know what they're up to. We're hoping for 50% participation in our class, and the Senior Class Gift Committee members have decided upon need-based scholarship and financial aid as their giving priority within their class. Of course, their classmates can give anywhere they choose, but this is what a lot of their messaging is going to be about. And then these 2 photos that I included is from their first event that we held in October. It was a pumpkin painting event with cider and hot chocolate. They will be having their November event on Thursday as part of the Treasure Day related to National Philanthropy Week, where they will be talking about what different things on campus cost and handing out some fun chocolate coins along with the theme of treasure. And then they have a December event planned for a study break on campus to discuss giving at every single event each month. Does anyone have any questions about the student programs?
So to wrap up, we discussed earlier about your end of calendar year outreach, focusing on those condoms and your pride-ons and your L2s and L3s. Please be looking at your stats and goals report, paying close attention to that final column Are you up or are you down from where you were this time last fiscal year? That's a good indicator of where your giving is within your class members. Then with Give Campus, as we said, Giving Tuesday will have templates available, and we will also then put new templates in for end of calendar year outreach. Mark your calendars. The beginning of calendar year calls will be January 21 through February 7. If you are heading into reunion in 2021, you will be doing joint calls with Jessica and Mary. That way we will start that transition process to reunion. And lastly, before I take any questions, I would like to say, number one, if you did not announce your name, if you would please send me an email so I know that you are on the call this evening, that would be fantastic. And also, I know that we are over of what we had said, and I really appreciate your time this evening. We had great conversation and questions from all of you. And also that big thank you again for all of the work that you are doing in support of Grinnell College students. We could not do what we do in our office without your help. So as I finish up the webinar tonight, are there any last questions? Please remember to state your name and your class year. All right. Well, once again, I thank you for your time this evening, and we look forward to speaking with you in January. If you do have questions in between now and the end of the calendar year or before our calls, please do not hesitate to reach out to Jessica or myself. Have a great evening, and we will see you soon.
Bye. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Thank you.